Okay, today we're going to take notes on adding integers, which is an extension of the activity we did in class. The first thing you want to make sure to do is write in your table of contents. So today's date is the 5th, and we're going to put in adding integers. Now my page is page 4. Yours may or may not be page 4, so write accordingly. Remember, this is your composition book. Your pages may not be the same, but your date and the topic will be the same. On your page 4 for adding integers, you want to make sure that you set up your paper for Cornell Notes. This is where we will take our notes. This is where we write questions, and at the bottom is where you will write your summary. So the objective for our notes today is to develop a rule for adding positive and negative integers. We're going to start with 1 plus negative 3. On a number line, we would start with 1. Sorry about that. We would start with 1, and then we're going to add negative 3. Well, to add a negative with our integers that we had before in class, this is our integer jail where a positive and a negative equals 0. So right now this is a total of 0. This is a positive 1, and so now we're going to add negative 3. Add negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Here's a 0. And that leaves us with 2 negatives. So 1 plus negative 3 equals negative 2. We moved left on the number line. We ended up subtracting. The other thing I want you to see is the absolute value of 1 and the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. And what is 3 minus 1? And that's 2. And negative 3 is farther away from 0. It has a larger absolute value, so that's the sign we're going to take. Let's try 3 plus negative 2. Again, on the number line, we're going to start at 3 and then add negative 2. Well, negatives move this way. Move to the left, so we're going to add negative 1, negative 2. This is negative 2. And where did we stop at? A positive 1. And some of you are looking at this going, well, isn't that 3 minus 2? It is. It is the same thing. 3 plus a negative 2 is the same thing as 3 minus a positive 2. And as far as our integers are concerned, here's positive 3 plus negative 2. These were our original zeros. Those are our new zeros, and we're left with positive 1. So a good question for you is, where do we move on the number line when adding a negative? Where do we move on the number line when adding a negative? When we added negatives, we moved left, exactly like subtracting. If you need to pause the video at this time to get the rest of your notes, now would be a great time to do so. So now let's start with a negative and add a positive. So on the number line, and we all know how to add positives. We've been adding positives since we were in elementary school. So we're going to start at negative 2, and we're going to add 5. Add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where did we stop? We stopped at positive 3. So we have negative 2, and then we're going to add 5. A positive and a negative together make 0. A positive and a negative together make 0, and we end up with positive 3. So where did we move on the number line when we added a positive? This is a great Avid question. Where do we move on the number line when adding a positive. Where do we move on the number line when adding a positive? We moved to the right, the same as addition that we've known since elementary school. So let's do -1 plus a -3. Our signs here are the same, I want you to notice. So we're going to start at -1. And what we found is when we add -3, we have to move to the left. So we're going to move to the left, 1, 2, 3. And so -1 plus -3 is -4. So what we can say is when the signs are the same, we're going to add. And then keep whatever sign you're working with. In this case, we added negatives, so our answer was negative. If we were adding positives, like 2 plus 2, that equals 4, that's adding positives, so your answer stays positive. So when your signs are the same, you're going to add and keep the sign that you were working with. But if the signs are different, you're going to end up subtracting the absolute values and take the sign of the number that's farthest away from 0. So subtract the absolute values and keep the sign of the number with the greatest, and I'm going to abbreviate, absolute value. So now, as far as your summary is concerned, and a great summary is on the website that I sent you guys on Edmodo. So if you'll go to the website that is posted, at the very bottom is a wonderful summary that I think you would enjoy as opposed to what we're about to do here. So if you want to change from this to the summary that's on that website, you're welcome to do so. So in summary, when adding negatives, move which direction? When adding positives, move which direction? Same signs. What do we do? And when the signs are different, what do we do? And if you'd like to add an example, that would be fine. And that is the end of your adding integers notes. If you have any questions, please jot them down in your book and bring them to class tomorrow. Thanks.